Hello, friends. Waiting for you to get on. I am trying to be in a place where it's quieter than it was yesterday. So when you get here, I'm going to start about just a few minutes. Call it quarantine. Um, it's more like family time. It's a great time to spend with your families. So we'll be doing Wizard of Oz pretty soon. Weather was kind of humid again today. Um, I did sit outside. I actually took a nap today. That was nice. I haven't done that in months. So that was good. And I'd love to start hearing suggestions about books we could possibly read next. I have a couple in mind that I want to read, but if there's something that you really want me to read, I'm open to suggestions. So Wizard of Oz has, let me see how many chapters we have. We're on 14, and it has 24. We've got about 10 nights of reading, unless I read multiple chapters in one night. So I'm enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying it too. Let me see if my chat's working. It said my chat was not working earlier. I think I have 2 viewers right now. Let me know who you are and where you're watching from. I'm actually in my closet tonight so that you can't hear my kids who are on their own Zoom calls right now with Bible study. So I don't know if it's working or not. Let's try. No, text is not working for me. Chat's not working. So anyway, yeah. So let me know how you're doing. If you can chat with me, chat with me. If not, I know that there's a couple of people there. So we'll get started in just a few minutes. It's a couple of minutes before 7. We'll get started a couple of minutes after 7 because I want to give people a chance to get on. So today in second grade, we added lots of multiple digit numbers, specifically money. And one thing that they struggle with, well, they don't struggle with remembering, they do a really great job of remembering and telling me that when adding money, you have to always keep those decimals lined up. Because if you don't line up those decimals, it's going to be way wrong. So we also are practicing writing checks, which is kind of a lost art. I don't write checks very often anymore because of those things called debit cards or online payment. So I can just pay through my computer these days. But anyway, writing checks is a good thing because everyone needs to know how to write a check. So anyway, so I think I have 2 viewers, it looks like. 1 viewer now. I don't know. I don't know who's on. See if I can do an emoji. Says there's some emojis I can pick. Oh, this is what Sammy and Christina were doing yesterday. Oh, that's super cute. Let's see. There's a high five. I wonder if I could type that. I don't know if I can. No, I don't think it's a high five. I don't know what it is. Anyway, let's see. Maybe I can just smile at people. It's not letting me show the live chat. I don't know if you can chat with me either. So anyway, I'm going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Tomorrow is, what is tomorrow? April the what? April the 9th. So we're already a week and a couple of days into April. It feels like we've been home for 3 months, not a few weeks. We're learning how to enjoy our time together with our families and read good books and stay in the Word and cook good meals and clean stuff and organize stuff. So 7:03 I'm going to begin, so we're about to get started. So almost there. Eek. Chapter 14. The four friends are back together. We have Dorothy, who has defeated the witch. She has rescued the lion from being imprisoned at the palace of the Wicked Witch. They have shaped the Tin Woodman back into shape and even made him better than he was. They have fixed his axe with gold and silver so the handle can't be broken anymore. And they have rescued the clothes of the Scarecrow and brought him back to life. They took him and restuffed him. So they're all back together. And Dorothy's gone back to the witch's house, and she has found the golden cap and has no idea what it is. She doesn't know what it does. She doesn't know its power. She just thought it was beautiful, and so it fit her head exactly, and she put it on. And so they are now commencing their journey back to the Emerald City, which picks us up with Chapter 14, The Winged Monkeys. Wizard of Oz, Chapter 14, The Winged Monkeys. You will remember there was no road, not even a pathway between the castle of the Wicked Witch and the Emerald City. When the four travelers went in search of the witch, she had been seen. She had seen them coming, and so sent the winged monkeys to bring them to her. It was much harder to find their way back through the big fields of buttercups and yellow daisies than it was being carried. They knew, of course, they must go straight east toward the rising sun, and they started off in the right way. But at noon, when the sun was over their heads, they did not know which way was east and which way was west. And that was the reason they were lost in the great fields. They kept on walking, however, and at night the moon came out and shone brightly. So they lay down among the sweet-smelling yellow flowers and slept soundly until morning, all but the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman. The next morning the sun was behind a cloud, but they started on as if they were quite sure which way they were going. "If we walk far enough," said Dorothy, "we shall sometime come to some place, I am sure." But day by day passed away, and they still saw nothing before them but the yellow fields. The Scarecrow began to grumble a bit. "We have surely lost our way," he said. "Unless we find it again in time to reach the Emerald City, I shall never get my brains." "Nor my heart," declared the Tin Woodman. "It seems to me I can scarcely wait till I get to Oz, and you must admit that this is a very long journey." "You see," said the Cowardly Lion with a whimper, "I haven't the courage to keep tramping forever without getting anywhere at all." Then Dorothy lost heart. She sat down on the grass and looked at her companions, and they sat down and looked at her, and Toto found that for the first time in his life, he was too tired to chase a butterfly that flew past his head. So he put out his tongue and panted and looked at Dorothy as if to ask what they should do next. "Suppose we call the field mice," she suggested. "They could probably tell us the way to the Emerald City." "To be sure they could," cried the Scarecrow. "Why didn't we think of that before?" Dorothy blew the little whistle she had always carried around her neck since the Queen of the Mice had given it to her. In a few minutes they heard the pattering of tiny feet, and many of the small gray mice came running up to her. Among them was the Queen herself, who asked in her squeaky little voice, "What can I do for my friends?" "We have lost our way," said Dorothy. Can you tell us where the Emerald City is?" "Certainly," answered the queen, "but it is a great way off, for you have had it at your backs all this time." And then she noticed Dorothy's golden cap and said, "Why don't you use the charm of the cap and call the winged monkeys to you? They will carry you to the City of Oz in less than an hour." "I didn't know there was a charm," answered Dorothy in surprise. "What is it?" "It is inside the golden cap," replied the Queen of the Mice. "But if you are going to call the winged monkeys, we must run away, for they are full of mischief and think it great fun to plague us." "Won't they hurt me?" asked the girl anxiously. "Oh, no. They must obey the wearer of the cap. Goodbye." And she scampered out of sight, with all the mice hurrying after her. Dorothy looked inside the golden cap and saw some words written upon the lining. These, she thought, must be the charm, and so she read the directions carefully and put the cap upon her head. "Epi, papi, kaki," she said, standing on left foot. "What did you say?" asked the Scarecrow, who did not know what she was doing. "Hello, hello, hello," Dorothy went on, standing this time on her right foot. "Hello?" replied the Tin Woodman calmly. "Zizzy, zuzzy, zik," said Dorothy, who was now standing on both feet. This ended the saying of the charm, and they heard a great chattering and flapping of wings as the band of winged monkeys flew up to them. The king bowed low before Dorothy and asked, "What is your command?" "We wish to go to the Emerald City," said the child. "We have lost our way." Let me pause for just a second. Let's see if I can fix this. I have a friend asking about it, so I'm going to pause. I don't know if you can still see me. I'm hoping I'm not ruining this. So I guess I'm still streaming as I go to another channel. I don't know if it's working or not. Well, let's see if I can fix this. Oh, it's showing that something is not working right. So I'm going to continue. Maybe something's wrong. I don't know. I'll try to fix it. "We will carry you," replied the king. And no sooner had he spoken than two of the monkeys caught Dorothy in their arms and flew away with her. Others took the Scarecrow and the Woodman and the Lion, and one little monkey seized Toto and flew after them, although the dog tried hard to bite him. See if I can find it on my phone. We'll try to fix this. So we're going to take a time out. The winged monkeys have now picked up our 4 friends. And hopefully we will see. Yeah, it's not showing up on here. So I'm not sure what is happening. Can't find it anywhere. So if you can find this link, if you could share it with our class text message, I can't seem to find it. So if you could share it, that would be great. I don't know how it's working. So I don't even know how to send it. So anyway, if you can share this, Faith is trying to figure out how to watch. So if you could share that with her, that'd be great. Technology, we love it, and other days we just don't know how to make it work. So I apologize again. The Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman were rather frightened at first, for they remembered how badly the winged monkeys had treated them before. but they saw that no harm was intended, so they rode through the air quite cheerfully and had a fine time looking at the pretty gardens and woods far below them. So they were scared of the winged monkeys, and now they realize that they're actually taking care of them. And the only reason they weren't taking care of them before was because the witch had enchanted them to do things that were not nice. And so now that Dorothy has control of them, she is not asking them to do something terrible to her friends. Okay, so here we go. Dorothy found herself riding easily between two of the biggest monkeys, one of them the king himself. They had made a chair of their hands and were careful not to hurt her. "Why do you have to obey the charm of the golden cap?" she asked. "That is a long story," answered the king with a laugh. "But as we have a long journey before us, I will pass the time by telling you about it, if you wish." "I shall be glad to hear it," she replied. "Once," began the leader, "we were a free people, living happily in the great forest, flying from tree to tree, eating nuts and fruits, and doing just as we pleased without calling anybody master. Perhaps some of us were rather too full of mischief at times, flying down to pull the tails of the animals that had no wings, chasing birds, and throwing nuts at the people who walked in the forest. But we were careless and happy and full of fun, and enjoyed every minute of the day. This was many years ago, long before Oz came out of the clouds to rule over this land. There lived here then, away at the north." Oh, there goes my sheet falling on top of me. "From the north, a beautiful princess who was also a powerful sorceress. All her magic was used to help the people, and she was never known to hurt anyone who was good. Her name was Gaylette, and she lived in a handsome palace built from great blocks of ruby. It's a beautiful red-colored stone. Everyone loved her, but her greatest sorrow was that she could find no one to love her in return, since all the men were much too stupid and ugly to mate with one so beautiful and wise. At last, however, she found a boy who was handsome and manly and wise beyond his years. Gaylette made up her mind that when he grew to be a man, she would make him her husband. So she took him to her ruby palace and used all of her magic powers to make him as strong and good and lovely as any woman could wish. And when he grew to manhood, Gaylala, as he was called, was said to be the best and wisest man in all the land. While his manly beauty was so great that Gaylette loved him dearly and hastened to make everything ready for the wedding. My grandfather was, at that time, the king of the winged monkeys, which lived in the forest near Gaylette's palace, and the old fellow loved a joke better than a good dinner. And one day, just before the wedding, my grandfather was flying out with his band when he saw Gaylala walking beside the river. He was dressed in a rich costume of silk and purple velvet, and my grandfather thought he would see what he could do. At his word, the band flew down and seized Gaylala, carried him in their arms until they were over the middle of the river, and dropped him in the water. "Swim out, my fine fellow!" cried my grandfather. "And if the water has spotted your clothes—" Gaylala was much too wise not to swim, and he was not in the least spoiled by all his good fortune. He laughed when he came to the top of the water and swam in to shore. But when Gaylette came running out to him, she found his silks and velvet all ruined by the river. The princess was very angry, and she knew, of course, who did it. She had all the winged monkeys brought before her, and she said at first that their wings should be tied and they should be treated as they had treated Gaylala and dropped in the river. But my grandfather pleaded hard, for he knew the monkeys would drown in the river with their wings tied. And Gaylala said in a kind word for them also, so that Gaylette finally spared them, and on one condition, that the winged monkeys should ever after do 3 times the bidding of the owner of the golden cap. This cap has been made for a wedding present to Kalala, and it is said to have cost the princess half of her kingdom. What a great cost. Of course, my grandfather and all the other monkeys at once agreed to the condition, and that is how it happens that we are 3 times the slaves of the owner by the golden cap, whomsoever he may be. And what became of them? Asked Dorothy, who had been greatly interested in the story. Kalala became the first owner of the golden cap, replied the monkey. He was the first to lay his wishes upon us. As his bride could not bear the sight of us, he called us all to him in the forest after he was married and ordered us to always keep where she could never again set eyes on the winged monkey, which we were glad to do, for we were all afraid of her. This was all we ever had to do until the golden cap fell into the hands of the wicked witch of the West, who made us enslave the Winkies and afterward drive Oz himself out of the land of the West. Now the golden cap is yours, and 3 times you have the right to lay your wishes upon us. As the Monkey King finished his story, Dorothy looked down and saw the green, shining walls of the Emerald City before them. She wondered at the rapid flight of the monkeys, but was glad the journey was over. The strange creatures set the travelers down carefully before the gate of the city. The king bowed low to Dorothy and then flew swiftly away, followed by all of his band. That was a good ride, said the little girl. Yes, and a quick way out of our troubles, replied the lion. How lucky it was you brought away that wonderful cap. And that's all of chapter 14. So the winged monkeys were slaves to the golden cap because of the relationship between Kalala and Gaylette. And the grandfather of the winged monkeys did a foolish thing and made Gaylette upset with him because Kalala got his nice clothes wet. But like all guys, don't guys like a nice little, just a little bit of fun and a little bit of a joke. So the winged monkeys played an important part to getting Dorothy and the 3 friends closer to the Emerald City. And so we will see tomorrow, chapter 15, The Discovery of Oz the Terrible, chapter 15. See you later. Have a good one.